Hey guys, on today's Off the Cuff, we're going to be talking about plug 8 handcuffs. Okay, they came in all kinds of different styles by different makers, and we're going to go through all the ones that I have in my collection. Now, the plug 8 handcuffs are called plug 8s because, number one, they're shaped like a figure 8, and number two, they have this little plug which covers the keyhole, which I will be explaining to you in a minute, okay? It's kind of getting harder and harder to find them with the original plug in them. Okay, I'll show you how they work in just a minute. Now, of all the handcuff designs that exist, among the oldest were the plug 8s, okay? Here are the ones that I have so far. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pairs of plug cuffs, okay? And as you can see, the sizes varied. They came in different sizes, obviously for different size wrists. We have all different sizes. And also, plug cuffs were made extra thick. These are commonly known as Boer War cuffs from the Boer War in the late 19th century. And they're way heavier than other plug cuffs. Here's the comparison. Just take a look. As you can see, the Boer War cuffs are much thicker. They're heavier. They did have the plug. And these were produced all the way up until the 1950s, actually. Of all the plug cuffs in my collection, this is one of the coolest, I think, because they actually have a bit of a silverish finish. Most of the patina that you see these days, you know, they have that really nice brown patina with age. These ones happen to retain some of an original finish. They also came fully plated, by the way. These, I'm not sure who made them because there's no maker's mark. All they say is number 12 and hard on it. These plug 8s I actually got at the indie show last year. These Boer ones, because the other pair I have in my collection are frozen shut, unfortunately. So let's take a look at how the plug lock on the plug 8 cuffs operates. Here's the key. It's probably the most unusual handcuff key ever made. And you see these two teeth right here? They fit into the plug, like so. And you unscrew it. This would keep dirt and dust and other materials out of the lock itself, and also help prevent from tampering. Now, keys came in right and left hand threads, okay? Basically what you do, if you see this spiked end of the key, once the plug is removed, you will screw it in a number of times going one direction, then the key goes down further, okay, into the lock. Go, and then you unscrew it in the other direction, and you can see the cuff opening right like that. Okay, almost. A time-consuming affair it is to open one of these cuffs, so you can imagine if the guy was struggling. And then to remove the key, you just pull it up and you reverse the way you unscrew it. And you just remove the key. Sure. You remove the key by going in the opposite direction. Now that you can actually, let's see, there you go. You can see all the way through the lock. Basically, there's just this rotating piece here, where's it go? This piece rotates, and it has threads that grip onto the key, and the key is just turning that little round piece and connecting it to the bolt on the other side. When fully open, they look like two W's. And then to relock, you just go, they don't snap, you have to screw it in, just like before, in a few times one way, it goes back, there we go, and you can see it tightening up right there. Now you can imagine how secure this would be if your wrists are in there. There's really no give whatsoever. And when placed behind the back, the prisoner is completely helpless. Okay? Then after you remove the key, you get the plug. Obviously that's why these were lost over the years. And the two bits, the two teeth on the other end of the key on the handle. A few turns, and there you go. I'm lucky enough to have not one, but two made by the Frogget Company. And these are, they don't look like it, but they are different sizes. Another thing about plug cuffs is if you notice, generally one side is a bit rounder than the other. The other one's more of an oval shape, but that's not always the case. This one, it's not as pronounced. And now you'll notice that on most plug 8s, there's this pin part on the threaded end here, which would go into the lock case, and that would prevent you from using tools other than the key to open it because it takes up too much space in the lock tube here. Okay, over the years I'm sure a lot of these that had that extension pin probably broke off or, you know, rusted through with time or whatever, but it would actually fit into the hole in the key, and the key would go, obviously, inside the lock case. The key would go and fit onto that little spike. Okay, notice the difference also in the number of spikes on some of the keys. Some have, you know, 3 sets, some have 4 or more sets of the little spike outcroppings there to turn the mechanism. There's a couple of differences right here. Another interesting thing that I've noticed with plug 8s in my collection is, look at how there's that little, I don't even know what you call it, right here. Like a little notch in the lock case, in the lock tube, and this little protruding piece that matches it. Now, not all of them have it. I don't know if it's what, you know, what's going on with the manufacturer. This one has it. These ones don't. And these have a really strange marking which nobody seems to understand. It's got 4 little dots. That's the only mark on the whole thing. What's strange, and it's kind of a weird coincidence, is that a long time ago, the first pair of plug 8s I ever bought, at a flea market had that 4-dot marking on it. And unfortunately, during one of my moves, they got misplaced. And years later, I bought this pair off of an auction, online auction, and it had 4 dots. I don't know. Is it the same pair that, they just found their way back to me, or, what was going on there? I have no idea. But I took these to, the British handcuff experts, and they don't seem to know what those 4 dots are. And it doesn't appear to be on any other of my plug 8s. I really like the Boer Wars because they're super heavy, and even the smaller ones are really neat too. I really like them. Plug 8 locks are fascinating. Just the history of these things. They were used during the American Revolution, I've heard, and even, it's such a good design, obviously, that it lasted all the way up until, like I said, some of the Boer War cuffs were produced in the 1950s. So you have almost 200 years of using the same design for a restraint, and they don't use that if it's not effective. Now, what I really want, and I haven't gotten yet, is other plug handcuffs that aren't in the figure 8. I really, and I keep getting outbid, want the pair of cuffs, like the plug 8 leg irons. I'd love to have a pair of them. I'd love to have the pair of, just the plugs on the chain with the chain linkage connecting them, just like regular handcuffs. That would be cool too, if anyone's looking for a present to give me. But so far, I've tried to get as many different plug 8s as possible from as many different makers as possible. And this one, I really dig this too because it's plated, sort of. Polished, silverish, anyway, whatever you would call it. So, anyway, that's my plug 8 collection so far. Thanks for watching, and be sure to tune in again. One more thing about the plug 8s is that some of them are rounded on the inside. Focus. Some of them are rounded on the inside, and some are flatter, if that's even a word. Okay, here we go. Look at the Boer Wars. It's completely flat right there. Whereas the other ones are rounded on the inside. That's much more comfortable to wear.